on right now because he's going to make it really simple to understand. So please, our strategic partner this month, Sean, who is awesome. And Sean's been doing some really great work for me right now. And I really appreciate that. Okay, I got to go AV real quick.
Hopefully my mind will shift on this. Patrick, can you hear? Yeah, you're still good. And you can see my screen, but we can't. Oh, there it goes. Okay, cool. Okay. Come on. So this is far easier, or first, let me say this. Those of you guys that I met the first time I was here, I just wanted to apologize if I came across as arrogant. Christina was not. Thank you. There she is. No, genuinely appreciated it. So long story short, I did a little lunch and learn. Christina comes. She's talking about some deal that went sideways. She called 5 lenders. Like, you didn't call me. And she kind of brushed that off. And then later she's like, I wasn't going to come to anything you do because you came across so arrogant to me. And I don't want my confidence to come across that way, but I just believe every word that comes out of my mouth when it comes to finance. So if you're meeting me for this first time, I'm just confident. I'm not arrogant. Okay, so I've spent 7 months planning for August 17th. And what Karina just said scares me because buyers should not be limited to the homes they can buy based on what the seller is willing to do. And the reason we're taking that approach is because we haven't figured out how the lending side works. So with there's too many C's. You have commission, compensation, credit, concession, right? Lender credits is one bucket. Commission is now called compensation. Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. What did I say? Okay. So take concession. No, agent compensation is what I agreed to on an agreement. Concession would come from the seller to you. A credit comes to the lender. Okay, just like a credit would, just like 2 separate line items though. On the contract, it now says seller to pay, and then under that says credit to buyer for closing costs, right? So they're completely separate things. So what Wes was saying, on conventional loans, you have a 3% max credit to closing costs, has nothing to do with your compensation. The concession to your compensation. 2 separate things, okay? FHA, 6% limit to closing cost credits. Nothing to do, I'm just going to call it your side. All right. So they're completely separated, which I knew they would, but it still begs the question of, well, if they only have 3% to put down, I need to ask for lender credit. I'm only going to show them houses where the seller said they're willing to pay. And the only way the seller can tell me that is through their agent who did an email blast. Like, how do you market that? How do you know? I had somebody yesterday come to my office and they said, hey, we just got an email. The agent said they're offering 4.5%. The seller's going to offer 4.5% commission. I go, wow, it's such a genius marketing play. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, your agreement says you can only have 2.5, but they got your attention. And they're like, no, we would just redo the agreement. I'm like, I'm not signing that. You told me you were worth 2.5. I'm going to get a 2% discount and I'm just going to go back to them. But the way that it was marketed got their attention and they're like, oh, they thought they were going to make more money than ever, right? And then it's like, well, where do we draw the line with what we write into our agreement so I can get as much out of the seller as I possibly can? There's a lot of moving parts. So what I'm going to do is show you very quickly how I'm using finance to basically keep everything the same as it's always been. With this strategy, I think buyers will sign your agreements even faster, realizing they're going to save more and actually make more money by working with you under these ideas. Let's do this. So this was a listing. I did this back in February or March. That was live at the time in Concord for $975. And I was thinking about it of, okay, if the agent says you have to pay $1 million for this house because it's competitive, that would mean I'm going to call that an initial offer price because we can't just offer it that anymore. So I built that in with cash to close being $234,000, 20% down. I use $1 million, 20% down, simple numbers. But I built in a 2.5% commission to their closing costs because they would have to pay you that, right? And at this point, if they're making an offer, they've already signed your agreement, and we'll get to that part later. So I said, well, oh shoot, it's not going to all fit. We got the important stuff. So initial offer price. So the cash out of pocket would be $234,000. And then I said, well, what if they wanted to finance the commission? They would have to offer $1,027,000, and now their cash out of pocket goes down to $214,000. It's blurry at the bottom. And then if they finance, so this is the silver lining. I'm like Wes, like I see the good in everything. For the first time, we have more opportunity to ask to have closing cost credits done through a multiple offer situation, right? Couldn't do that before. Seller's just going to throw us out. But now everything is going to be structured in this format, I'm assuming. So you would offer $1,038,000, and now you only come out of pocket $207,000, right? So you were going to have to pay $234,000. You got down to $214,000, and now I have you down to paying just $207,000 out of pocket. Where do those numbers come from, right? So I call it the psychology of the seller. What my job now is, my job is way more complex now, by the way. I don't think it's your job to understand everything I'm showing you. I think it's my job as a lender to continue to walk people through the ways they can finance their property and make this dream happen, because they all think they're screwed because they only get to look at the houses where the seller gets to advertise. So we want to make sure they know that nothing's changed. They have every opportunity they've ever had. So what I did is I started working on seller net sheets. And so I said, okay, this was yesterday at 5% commission from the seller. They listed $1 million. The loan balance on this property was $214,000. The seller would net $734,000. Okay. Do sellers care about sales price? Or do they care about what they're going to net? That's all that matters. That's the psychology of the seller. When I sold my house, where's the bottom line? Sounds good to me. That's all I cared about. I don't care what Redfin says. I'm not getting a trophy. So then today, or on the 17th, seller listed $1 million, 2.5% commission. Now he's going to net $759,000. The prices aren't going to go down like the government said they are, right? But what I realized is the commission has always been built into the price. And here's a great analogy you can use with your clients. Let's say that I wanted to buy a house, and Aaron's representing me, and then Melissa wants to buy it for herself. It's $1 million home. The seller's paying 2.5% commission to the buyer's agent. This is like 2 days ago kind of thing. And then Melissa wants to buy it. She goes, you know what? I'm going to offer $975,000 and just waive my commission. And I'm like, well, what do I need to do? Aaron's like, you got to offer $1 million. Same house, seller nets the same either way. So what just happened? The commission has always been built into the price. Nothing has changed whatsoever. So I showed you we're going to build commission into the price. Your buyers are going to say, well, now I'm paying more. And it's like, no, this is the same it's always been. We've told you forever I'm free to you. Turns out we're not. And now we know it. And the best thing that's come out of this is transparency. So if I want to go and keep this $759,000 the same, because I have to think of the psychology of the seller, I go to $1,027,000, asking the seller to pay a total of 5%. Buyer side's now covered. They're netting $759,000. And I also want to roll in the closing costs. Now I'm at $1,038,000, netting $759,000. That's how I came up with those numbers. I have to do this on every freaking offer now. Doesn't mean every lender has to, but this is what I'm going to do, because we have to get our clients to win and feel good about what they're doing. Any questions on that? I'm burning through this thing. So what does it mean when you finance the commission? So by financing at $1,027,000 instead of $1 million, the monthly payment is $163 more per month. And if you finance in your closing costs, you would be at $230 more per month. I, of course, have to make sure it's cut off. I have to make sure they qualify. But they saved $24,000 immediately by financing the commission. And they saved $34,000 immediately by financing everything. What have you bought where they have that same tactic in your life? Anybody bought a car before? Do you want to finance the warranty, or do you want to pay $4,000 up front? $20 a month, finance it. Do you want the paint protection? Finance it. We already do this. Like, this is a consumer habit. We're just taking it and applying it here. And again, this is the way it's always been. It's just we're working it backwards now. So the thing that I look at is, what do we do with the money we saved them? I don't think anyone in this room should be a real estate agent anymore. I don't think you should be a realtor anymore. I think you should be a real estate advisor. Just like a financial advisor advises on finance information in the market, you're advising on a pretty substantial asset, and you're showing the best ways to do things. So if I take this $24,000 and I invest it properly, because I saved it in my pocket, in 7 years, I will have $743,000. Thank you, Jean Marie. I will have $743,000 instead of $684,000. I'm gonna have more net worth, right? And if I do all of it, I'll have $765,000. So I broke this down. I took the money saved, $24,834, put it into the market at 7%. I turned that $24,834 into $40,000 in 7 years. And if I take the $34,000 and put it into the market at 7%, I have $55,000. They made more money than they paid you, because you showed them a better way to look at their financing. You also got them to homes they thought they couldn't have. Like, I'm so glad Karina said that, because that's my fear, is that people are only going to look at these I'm totally limiting my own search because I don't understand this and neither does my real estate agent. But people are going to sign your agreements faster because you now understand something that very few other people do. So what do you think like objections to this would be? Like I'm bumping price, right? Yeah, Kevin.
Well, if they satisfy the whole 30-year term, they're gonna pay twice as much than what they
Interest?
saved up front. So, but not everybody, obviously, we rarely see anybody go the full 30 years without refinancing.
Right.
In between, but that would just be a question I would.
So what I would have to do in that is look at the cost differential, right? So 100. So I could basically take 24,000 divided by 100. What was the number? 160 bucks a month, I think it was, equals break even point. But you're gonna refinance and lower your rate anyways. And again, if you use that same logic, you would have paid cash for the warranty when you bought the car, but we never ever do. That's a good one. I haven't been told that one. I'll play with that. And I'm asking you guys to poke as many holes in this as you can as you hear new things, because the only way I can serve you better is by building this. Yeah, thank you for that. So glad you asked. So I started here. Sean, what if the market crashes? Well, don't worry about that. On this property in Concord, it looks like the market's going to go up 4% a year for the next year. The 63-year average is 5.5%. So we're actually being conservative here, right? So it looks like the market has always increased in Concord. There's no land to build new homes. It's in high demand. You guys know all the stuff to say to that. And if you did worry about paying over ask, quote unquote ask, we all know it's a list price. If you paid $1,038,000, 63,000 over the asking price of $975, in 5 years, the projected value is $1,209,000, and you would make $171,000 in gains in the first 5 years. And by the way, your break-even point's only 12 months away if that happens. Are you moving out of this home in a year? No. Cool. So we overcome the objections or concerns and fears, which are very real, of the market, and I'm waiting for the crash. Everybody wants a crash. Now, what if it doesn't appraise? So let's just go with the $1,038,000 number. So $1,038,000 in Contra Costa, Alameda, our local counties, anything under $1,149,000 is a conventional loan, right? So we have 20% down. The opposite of down payment is loan to value, right? So when you guys say 20% down, I hear 80% loan to value. Value is defined by purchase price or appraisal, whichever is lower. So in this circumstance, let's say this property appraises 10% low, which would be ridiculous, right? The odds of that happening are slim. Their monthly payment would increase by $97 a month, and their cash to close remains dollar for dollar exactly the same. They don't bring anything to make up the difference because the loan to value can go as high as 95%, right? So the price doesn't necessarily change. And we do this today when we're going non-contingent, right? I did this on a $3 million property yesterday. Hey, Sean, are they good to remove? It's like, oh, I'll just put their 90 grand on the line. It's all on me anyways. And then if it appraised 15% low, the monthly payment's $144 more per month, and their cash out of pocket is dollar for dollar exactly the same. So the risk, when 6 months ago, we would go through this before they make their offer, and I go, look, the odds of this thing not appraising with me at least is slim to none, but it is a risk. Is it a risk worth taking for $144 per month? Yes, cool. Then waive your appraisal contingency. We're doing the exact same thing we've always done, because remember, the commission was always built into the price to begin with. When the appraiser looked at the old contract, what did they see? 2.5, 2.5, 3, 3, whatever. It was always there. We just never thought of it that way. Is that a good answer? Cool. Yes, sir. That's the PMI. So the difference in payment is only the PMI. So that $96 payment shown here is the mortgage insurance with a 90% loan to value, and the $144 is the mortgage insurance monthly cost at 95% loan to value. Market goes up 5% a year with a 90% loan to value. You have 20% equity in 2 years, and that falls off, even if you don't refinance. So it's like, what's the risk? You're going to pay $96 more a month, potentially for 2 years. It's $2,400 a year. Is this house worth losing over $2,400 in 2 years? No, I want the house. Yes, sir.
What I'm really hearing you say is we should not talk to
Yeah.
So yes. At this level of detail, absolutely. But you have to have a value prop to get them to sign your agreement. Everything I just showed is what we're going to do when they're making an offer. That means, like, part of my needs list, I need your pay stubs, W-2s, and I need your buyer broker agreement, because I need to know what you're paying so I can make sure you have reserves in case you do elect to pay it out of pocket. I have more work to do. But I came up with my own little thing saying, this is what I do that's different than everyone else. So everyone asks me, what are the rates? What are the fees? Right? That's what everyone's trained to start with. For you guys, it's going to be, what am I paying you? This one said they do it for 1%. You're 2.5. It's going to be a variable, right? Like Redfin's model, I'm assuming, because they were just giving you money from the seller. Now they're just going to be 1%. Like they're going to do what they did on their listing side, I'm assuming, because they can't give away money that's not theirs anymore. So I want you guys to start thinking of what your value proposition is. And on that note, and I'll end, is I met with 2 agents to go through this a couple weeks ago, and I was saying, look, with me from introduction to in contract averages 26 days. And she goes, that's how I am. My clients only see 1 to 2 homes. I'm like, that better be in your presentation because that's very rare, right? I'm like, they don't know what their value is. And I'm like, that is your value. Like I would sign up for that because if you get me into contract now, I don't have to worry about the market going up anymore. And the other agent goes, I'm the opposite. It was great. She's like, I'm the exact opposite. I've shown clients for a year. And I'm like, that's your value proposition. I will show you homes for as long as it takes until you find the right one for you. We're just taking who we are and what we do and making it our value proposition. And that's why people choose us, because they relate to us. I'll stop there because I know on time wise, but that's what I had for you guys. Does that make anyone feel better? Okay, cool. Cool. Thank you for how your shoulders are going. Now I have to. Yep. Put this back in. Here, can I elevator pitch it for you guys real quick? The commission has always been built into the price. Use the analogy of if you're buying a home, I have to be paid. If I'm buying a home for myself, I can waive the commission. The seller net's the same either way, and that just shows that it was built into the price the whole time. The good news is you will have the opportunity to also continue to build it into the price. I wouldn't say finance it, but you will be able to continue to build into the price. You can have examples of what I just showed you in your buyer presentations and say, this is what it is. I'm not the finance person, call Sean. And then it's like, I don't think you guys need to all get into finance. That's my job.
I like the elevator pitch. Can you put that in an email and send it to me?
Yes. Forget what I said, but I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I think it's recorded. I'll send it. I'll send it real quick. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
My pleasure.